Hi guys, Kutemwa here, and today I'll be reading the statement of purpose that got me into Yale University's chemistry PhD program. But first, we need to talk. So remember always that essays are a huge part of your application. Please take time to learn about them, get feedback, revise them as much as you can. Be sure to send in a polished picture of who you are as a person that also, of course, fully fulfills the requirement of each prompt that each school gives to you. But I only titled this video this way to get you here. So essays alone will not guarantee you anything. One thing I learned through this process is that, admissions are really as well-rounded as they say. And something that surprised me is someone who told me that recommendations can end up playing sometimes even a bigger role than your essays. So do not shun any part of your application. Be sure that everything that you send is up to standard, if not above the standard that is expected of you. Okay, so I know there's a lot of resources out there, very great, helpful resources that detail what should be in a statement of purpose as opposed to a person statement. That's very different. I will make a video on that, by the way. But yes, there's a lot of resources that detail, what should be in it, and also ideas on how to structure it. But I want us to talk about the goal, and I will be linking some of these resources in the description because I really did a lot of research before I drafted my essay, and of course while I was drafting my essay, and they were really helpful. But yes, I want us to talk about the goals of this essay, because it's really important to have the end product in mind. So you want to think about what are the people reading my essay actually looking for. And the biggest thing that an SOP does is it gives a picture of you as an academic. So you see even in the prompts that they're asking you to talk about things like why this field, what have you done to be ready, what do you see yourself doing at the school that you're applying to. So there's these very important parts of your application, of the essay that you want to make sure that you highlight very well. But a guiding factor for me was being sure that I tell a story. So really they want to know how you've grown as a researcher, what's getting you to this point, and how do you see yourself in the future. So really of course you're submitting your CV, but it's impossible, especially with the word count limits for specific schools. You can't detail every single thing that you've done. You have to really be selective and be very wise in the things that you choose to mention. And something that really helped me, like I said, is telling a story. So what's relevant to the story is what I was mentioning, of course, and I'm being sure that the parts of myself that I want to highlight, I have something that talks about those things. So of course I'm not saying I am passionate, but the things that you did, can do an amazing job of showing that. So the story that I told was, okay, this is the field I'm interested in. This is what got me to even choose the undergrad course, that I chose. It led me to this school. Then I talked about the research that I did in undergrad and the skills that I learned. Another thing is not everyone reading your essay is going to be in your field. So you spending a paragraph talking about the CVDEC strategy technique that you know how to use might not be as beneficial, especially if you don't talk about the big picture. So I'm not saying don't be technical. It's very important to be technical, but have a balance. And I think one thing that helps with that, like I said, is big picture. So I did this technique, but what did I actually get from it? Did it teach me to see things this way? Was it teaching me to question, you want to be sure that you're not focusing on the technique alone, but more so what did it do for you, which is the goal of this. Like I said, how did it help you grow as a researcher? So yes, I talked about the things I did, how they helped me to grow. Then I mentioned this is what I want to do when I come to this school. And of course not only the researchers I want to work with, which is important, be sure to mention that. But I also mentioned some general features of the program and the school that really made me want to go there. Then I ended with my big career goals and how the school helps me get there. So that's the story that I told. So me reading this essay is just a sample. I'm not saying that this is all that works. I have so many friends who had different strategies and approaches, but I know it's always helpful to kind of hear how someone else did it. So the point is, this is just me. And there's many things that were unique about my writing journey and my journey. And before I read this, I want to also talk about those things. So one thing that was unique was that I was applying to a different field than the one I did in undergrad. So in undergrad, I was doing research on lithium-ion batteries. That's mostly what I did. But I wanted to go into electrocatalysis for my PhD. And there's many people like this. Maybe even going to a different major and things like that. The very important thing is that, like I said, you are detailing how did those things help you. You are giving a character arc of yourself, your origin story. So be sure to mention those things, but stick to the end goal and talk about how they made you grow, so that in the end you're telling one big story of I started here and now I'm here. So it's really, really important to detail how you have grown and what made you get there. Yes, then the other thing that's unique is that I didn't have an exact project that I want to work on, and I know some people do, and that's amazing. I just did. So even when I was talking about researchers, I was more general. So I mentioned the work that they are doing and how what I'm interested in can kind of intersect. Like I said, I'll read the essay, but I wasn't spending like paragraphs talking about this is the project I want to do. I just talked about the field that I want to go in and why I want to go in the field, right? So some people do have a big picture. Some people talk about maybe this paper that this professor wrote. So like they spend more time talking about professors. I had literally one sentence for each professor, but of course I was very strategic. But the point is that many things work, so be sure to find what fits you in the end. And I know as you get different reviews, people will tell you different things, so be sure not to lose your voice. Of course, and I hope you have academic people. One tip, I mean, I'll have a video on recommendations as well, but one tip is that ask your recommenders to review your essay as well, because obviously they are academics. Probably they've gone through a PhD before, so they know this stuff. But get reviews from people who are high up as well, from your peers who know you, even from maybe grad students, current grad students who've been through the process before. But even as you get that feedback, be sure to not lose your voice. In the end, this is your essay. It's representing you as a person, so do not lose your voice. Yes, so without further ado, I read my essay. So for the names of the professors, I will use initials, so I hope you can follow along. But I want to protect their identities as best as I can. So I titled my statement of purpose, Energetic Ambitions. Memories. Growing up in Zambia, a country whose power supply is 85% hydroelectric, I celebrated renewability but disliked the frustrating power outages in years of low rainfall. I gained interest in energy storage from a desire to improve access to electricity but did not have the resources to explore this field in my home country. My journey led me to Xavier University of Louisiana, where I joined Dr. L's Energy Storage Research Lab. I became part of a team of 3 undergraduates whose role was synthesizing and testing a solid-state composite polymer electrolyte (CPE). I was in charge of incorporating a specific percentage of its LOZTO, I said what it is here, but yes, LOZTO, into a cross-linked polymer matrix, building cells, conducting electrochemical impedance spectroscopy, and analyzing the data through Origin Lab. During my first summer, I conducted an age study, which led to the unexpected conclusion that our CPE increased in interfacial stability with time and contributed to the lab's recently published paper in the American Chemical Society Applied Materials and Interfaces Journal on the capabilities of the CPE. That's my first paragraph. I was not going to stop, but I don't want to forget. So another important thing is that no matter how common in your field, every initial that you use, you define it first. So no matter how, even if it's H2O, you define it first. Well, that's my advice anyway. But just always be sure to define it first before you start using the acronym. I don't know why that word escaped from my brain, but just always be sure to define before you start using the acronym. Okay, now I won't stop, hopefully. Next paragraph. Our lab group meetings brought together the different interdisciplinary teams to evaluate ways to improve our solid-state system. Aiming to improve conductivity, I suggested a way to incorporate the electrolyte into our cathode. After some discussions, I designed the methodology to use the electrolyte as the cathode binder through in-situ polymerization. After I conducted the successful synthesis, cells were built which had good cyclability and efficiency. Managing this project sharpened my skills in conducting hypothesis-driven research. I didn't want to stop, but I'm stopping again. Okay, so that's the next paragraph. And one thing that I remember that I was told a lot is emphasize your contribution. So obviously you're in a team, but if there's anything that you led or anything that you suggested, be sure to highlight that. And like the last sentence, I was sure to bring everything together by showing what the project did for me. Okay, next paragraph. To better understand the mechanisms of the solid state, I collaborated with Dr. J at the University of Notre Dame in the summer of 2023. There, I studied the materials of our electrolyte through differential scanning calorimetry, DSC, and Raman spectroscopy. Coming from a primarily undergraduate institution, this was my first experience being treated like a graduate student. While conducting independent work was not new, being responsible for interpreting the findings was. That experience boosted my initiative and enhanced my abilities as an independent thinker. Our ion coordination and thermal property findings agreed with observed conductivity trends and also contributed to our recent CPE paper. I'm back to stopping after the paragraph. The biggest thing here that stands out to me, the funny thing is I'm reading my own essay, it's been a while since I read it, but yes, is emphasizing the impact of your findings as well. So maybe you didn't have a publication, but maybe it has some big significance that someone who's not in the field can't see, so be sure to highlight that. Next paragraph. Beyond publishing the paper, Communicating the research deepened my engagement with the subject area. My first poster presentation on our electrolyte was at the 50th Materials Research Society MRS conference in San Francisco. I gained a broader understanding of my research and a list of great ideas. Winning a top 10 poster prize was rewarding, but the experience of presenting was even more fulfilling. Knowing this, Dr. L, that's my Xavier professor, turned my 15-minute senior thesis into a full chemistry department seminar, the highlight of my time at Xavier. Next paragraph. Outside of research, I was selected to be an organic chemistry tutor. I quickly realized that the problems I initially faced in the class were more common than I thought. Many students were drowning in the information instead of applying the concepts to understand it. As I talked through the main ideas with each student, I enjoyed seeing the ease of answering questions that followed. I decided to make cheat sheets for Organic Chemistry 1, which are now official supplemental materials used by the Organic Chemistry Resource Center. Tutoring was a taste of being a chemistry educator, which solidified my teaching aspirations. I'm pausing because I now remember, that's the end of the paragraph pages. I now remember that there are so many parts of this paragraph that many people told me not to put. And I stayed with them. So everything that anyone tells you is a suggestion, but I really loved this paragraph, so I chose to keep it and to not change it. But yes, that's just proof that, it should be your voice. Be sure to keep your voice. Yes, okay, next. From my experiences, I knew that I wanted to be a chemistry professor, the perfect combination of education and research. My battery work had introduced me to electrochemistry and the current challenges of energy systems. Then, in my junior year, I discovered energy conversion through a research seminar led by Dr. V. His work used electrocatalysts for the conversion of carbon dioxide to fuels. I was drawn to the capabilities of electrocatalysts and the possibility of creating circular energy processes. So I'm stopping. So I hope you've seen the transition, right? So I didn't just say, that was a waste. I realized it's not good. But I showed what I learned from the field and the connection that's there between what it was and what I want to get into. Okay, next paragraph. This past summer, I worked with Dr. V at UC Davis through it's a long thing, it's UCOP HBCU initiative. I was paired with 2 graduate student mentors, A and K, because I wanted to explore both electrocatalyst synthesis and the conversion of abundant molecules to feedstocks. Under A, I synthesized silver ammonium tetrathiomolybdate, a previously understudied transition metal chalcogenide, confirming its structure through X-ray diffraction and surface electron microscopy. I then collaborated with K on carbon dioxide reduction, CO2R, in tests in non-aqueous media, producing carbon monoxide and carbonate, which are potential synthetic precursors. Our catalyst system also opened the doors to thinking about ammonium reduction for hydrogen storage and ammonium carbonate production for agricultural purposes. So this paragraph was purposefully technical because, like I said, everything I did before was in a different field. So I was trying as much to emphasize the skills that I have in this new field. Okay, next paragraph. After exploring the catalytic conversion of carbon dioxide to value-added products, I am committed to pursuing this field through a chemistry PhD at Yale. I aim to study electrocatalysts and leverage them to form unique products to better our energy landscape. My diverse electrochemical research experience continues to equip me with the knowledge and skills to be a strong asset in this interdisciplinary area. At Yale in particular, Dr. H's fundamental work on probing electrocatalytic solid interfaces provides a foundation for the design and optimization of abundant molecule conversion reactions. In addition, Dr. N's focus on analyzing catalytic mechanisms and pathways of transition metal complexes opens the door to exploring unique designs of electrocatalysts to obtain valuable products. Even more, Yale is a champion of green chemistry through established sustainability action plans and the work of the Center for Green Chemistry and Green Engineering, both of which I would love to contribute to. Okay, so I already mentioned this at the beginning, but I highlighted 2 professors. It's important not to mention one because it might paint the picture that if this one professor can't take you, what's the point of you going there? Many things happen. Maybe they even know this person is retiring, they're not taking any students, they're transferring, there's many things. So be sure to mention more than one. Some people mentioned 3, I chose to go with 2, that was my own decision. And like I said in the last sentence, I talked about broader things at Yale, not just the research. Okay, last paragraph. The future I see for myself involves sharing the beauty of chemistry both within and outside the classroom. I want the freedom to conduct research that revolutionizes current energy systems in the pursuit of sustainability. I want to support and mentor my students the same way I have received unconditional support and cheer them on as they find their footing. Pursuing a chemistry PhD at Yale will help me accomplish my dream of being impactful in academia, and I can see myself flourishing alongside others who are also seeking answers to life's most challenging questions. That's it. That was my favorite paragraph. Also criticized heavily, but I loved it, so I kept it. Okay, so the last sentence of this paragraph, I did something unique. So I wasn't just saying random words. The last part, so I talked about seeking answers to life's most challenging questions. That's literally the mission of Yale's graduate school program. And that's another tip. So this is like a going away bonus tip if you stay to the end. The biggest thing is that when they are trying to see if you are a fit for the department, one of the biggest things is, are you in line with their goals and values? And it's not that your future goal has to be in line. It's just the way you frame it. You have to show that you are in line. So Yale, like we have seen, is more focused on the work that you're going to do. Like, are you answering the challenging questions? Which is why even when framing this research that I want to do, I was talking about I'm going back up, but talking about bettering the energy landscape, right? So what is the big impact of this work? And I was able to stick to this even when I was personalizing other essays. So if you've watched the recording, I recently had a seminar where we talked about a lot of parts of the application. I talked about how different missions are very, very different. So if you go to a school like Harvard, they're more focused on big world impact, right? So if I was writing an essay to Harvard, I would more so talk about how electrocatalysts can, like, in other countries that are less, like talking about how I want to start this industry in this country that doesn't have anything would be amazing, right? Like, I'm talking about how I'm going to change the world, guys. Like, I'm going to change the world. A school like MIT is more focused on training you, like giving you the skills that you need to be successful. So for such a school, I can get away with just focusing on, like, I'm going to learn this skill and I'm going to be a good professor and I'm going to be perfect for industry. I can get away with that. So the point is that one thing that I did was, I have a document, I still have it, where I was able to Google like mission statement for each school that I was applying to, and I put it there so that even as I was drafting the essays, that's what I had in mind, and that will really help you, like I said, show that you are a good fit for the school. So there's a lot that I can say, but I wish you all the best in your essay. If you want me to talk about something else, like I said, I'll be making a video on the personal statement hopefully very soon. But yes, if you want me to talk about some specific thing, maybe you have a question, let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to get back to you. But thanks for watching.